Tim Kalishaw, Sarah Spain, Kevin Blackistone. Oh, opening night, the flags, the booze. The only way Eagles-Falcons games end. We got opening night overreaction, and then we have an equal and opposite overreaction and pre-action to week one. Also, crime against humanity at the beach. What's bigger, the hoodie or the socks?
There's nothing wrong with any of that, Tony. Nothing.
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh, Blasky's already under par to start the show. Let's go around the horn.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reali.
So Philly fans had the wait. Then they had the flags. Then they volunteered the booze for the defending champions going off to the half. Fact is, we still don't know what it catches. Fact is, the only play that seems to work in the entire league is the pass to your quarterback. And the fact is, this game ended the same way the last game ended between the Falcons and the Eagles, and the game ended the same way the Super Bowl ended for Philly with the win. But we start with those boos, Tim Kalishaw. How do you think the Eagles hear those fan boos?
You know, the only problem I had with the boos is I thought they were a little late. I thought they would have come earlier in the first half.
Okay.
With the way the Eagles' offense was not functioning. I mean, that was terrible. The fans also, they had nearly an hour delay. They're waiting for that season. They want to see some excitement. Yeah. They want to see some stuff getting going. And the Eagles were really just, let's keep trying to run the ball, and it's not working. Foles never really got it going, passing-wise, 117 yards. So they got the outcome they wanted, a win over a team that's been a playoff team and should be a playoff team. But, man, it was much uglier than the Eagles that we saw.
So you're all right with the boos. You thought the game deserved boos. How about you, Bill Flashy?
At first glance, I'm like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe they're actually booing. But then you think about it, that's who they are. And I think they're sending the message to the team that, you know what, we haven't changed. Championship hasn't changed us. We're still the tough fans we are. Maybe you haven't changed. Unfortunately, the Eagles have changed a little bit. Nick Foles, 0 for 7 passes with 15 or plus more yards downfield. They averaged only 3.3 yards on the ground to the end there. Eagles didn't play very well, didn't look very good. I don't know if Carson Wentz doesn't come back for a while. I don't know how that's going to do for this team.
All right, there we go. Good. We didn't have to wait more than 2 minutes for our first overreaction of the season. Thank you, Bill. Sarah Spain, how about you?
These guys are absolutely insane. We're not even a game in. The rain is still fresh on the newly hung Super Bowl banner that you've been waiting your entire life for, and you're already booing? They ended up winning the game. I mean, just give them a minute to catch back up. Your quarterback is still injured. Nick Foles, the Super Bowl MVP, who was heroic in saving your team from blowing an incredible season by stepping up his game and playing so well last year, is disappointing you in the first couple minutes? Oh, my God, these Eagles fans. Try to convince me one more time that you're not as bad as we say you are. Just try. You just prove it.
Okay, well, there's some fire there. Kevin Blackistone, your review of the night.
Well, Philadelphia fans were just doing, Sarah, what they've done forever. This is what they are known for doing, booing at what seems the most least opportune time. And here they are booing their first ever Super Bowl champs. But like Bill and Tim said, it was worth it. The team was playing horribly. They were living down to all of the doubters out in Las Vegas who said that they don't have as good a chance as winning the Super Bowl as about 7 other teams.
Yeah.
This is exactly what Malcolm Jenkins was talking about. He said, we want to forget about last year. We're starting from a clean slate. Well, guess what? That was your clean slate, and it looked bad.
That's a great point. That's a point.
Okay.
Kevin made it perfect. That's
you brought up the point.
That's the point I was making. That's the point I was making, is that they haven't changed.
Made it better than you. That's a problem
They
for you,
haven't changed.
The Eagles had the 10th best odds of any team in a lot of books to win the Super Bowl this year. And then we asked the question yesterday, are they being under-respected or disrespected in some sort of way? The report is Wentz won't be able to play for a few more weeks. Of course they have proof they can win without him. They have more proof than any team has ever had that they can win without their starting quarterback. But should they feel confident they'll survive this year? Tim Kalishaw, after what you saw last night?
If Wentz really is going to miss several more games, then they're not being disrespected. This is going to be a tough slog for this team. They don't look good offensively. They've got most of the weapons. They'll get Alshon Jeffrey back at some point, and they got Sproles back. So you wonder why they look so disconnected last night. But that was the old Foles. That was the regular season Foles. It was not the playoff Foles, and so I think they're in a bit of trouble.
Sarah Spain.
They're going to play the Bucks, the Colts, and the Titans. The Bucks without their starting quarterback, the Colts that we know nothing about with Andrew Luck making his return, and the Titans, which a lot of people believe are going to take a step back. I'm not that concerned, but I'm also somebody who had them winning every game last year in the postseason, including the Super Bowl.
You did, yeah.
I think Nick Foles, when he has the right play calling and the offensive line protects him, can do just fine. And if they need to save Carson Wentz for the decade that they want to have him and use Nick Foles for another couple weeks, I don't think it's going to be a big problem.
You see how seamless Spain did that? Kalisha would promote himself in such a way it would lead to a mute.
How you give her points
reminded
last
us
year?
that she had the Eagles winning it all last year, and she survived
awful.
the mute. Kevin Blackistone, you're going to run Philly once a week if you're Peterson, because the boos were coming, and then it was just like, okay, you know what? Let's play the hits. Let's throw it out here. And they ran the same play the Patriots ran in the Super Bowl, not the Eagles. They ran the Tom Brady play.
It was unbelievable that you saw two plays in this game, and that's the first one that you saw at critical times last year in huge games. That was unbelievable. Yeah. But what is more believable is that Nick Foles appears to have regressed to the mean. 34 attempts for 117 yards, not going to get it done.
Sure. Acceptable plagiarism of the play from the Patriots in the Super Bowl that they ran. Was that trolling in your mind, Plashke?
No, that was just brilliance. It was just Peterson, again, taking what he, making the adjustments. But I think everybody talking about Carson Wentz, he could be out from full strength until December. Look at it, initially it was 9 to 12 months. Everybody's acting like he's coming back in 2 or 3 weeks. I don't think we know that.
Okay,
and I don't think
honestly,
the Eagles know that.
When does it become a problem?
I think
we can overreact. Right, we can just react. When does it become a problem?
Watching Nick Foles last night, I think it could be a problem right now.
After what you saw from him in the postseason last year, you're willing to say 1 week it's a problem that they don't have Wentz.
He took over a team that was on a roll last year. This is a team starting from scratch again. Okay. This is not a team that's on some kind of emotional roll.
You agree with that?
If Wentz isn't playing by the beginning of October, I don't care what their schedule is, they're in trouble.
Oh, wow. I'm shocked to hear you guys say this. They're 1-0. You know who's not 1-0? The Atlanta Falcons. Let's talk about that. What is the deal with the Falcons? What is the deal with the Falcons in the red zone? Something fundamentally flawed or just not clicking with Matt Ryan, Bill Plashke?
Well, Matt Ryan's making $30 million a year. They need to get clicking, and something's wrong. Just in general, Ryan was 1 for 9 with a pick and no touchdowns in the red zone yesterday. Over the last 2 years, he's 1 for 20 to Julio Jones in the red zone. In fact, in the last 2 years, Julio Jones and Nick Foles have scored exactly the same amount of touchdowns when catching balls in the end zone. So that's how crazy it is. I think something's wrong. I mean, I think Ryan looked weird last night. He looked uncomfortable. He was throwing off his back foot. I mean, I just think they need more weapons. How about using Calvin Ridley a little bit more? How about getting some running backs in there with drafting a running back that has some stuff about him? I didn't
Coleman.
like it.
I mean, how many weapons do you need at some point? But when you watch this team in the red zone, Blackistone, I mean, they were at the bottom of the league in the red zone last year. Their season ended last year because they couldn't convert in the red zone. And it starts this year in the same exact way.
Yeah, not very good. 4 or 5. And you know what? You see those throws to Julio Jones and you wonder, just like Bill mentioned, what about somebody else? What about throwing to somebody who's not double covered? The commentator said that last night. Why not mix it up a little bit when you're in the red zone? So this is a big problem for them because that was an extremely winnable game for either side last night because both sides played so poorly. But certainly for them, getting that close and getting those opportunities.
You think? Well, first off, Jones wasn't double teamed on that last play.
Not on the last one.
If you count the defender, which is part of the play, then he was double. I'm sorry, count the out of bounds line. He was double teamed because that's part of the defense at that point. You also said they were 4 or 5. They were 1 of 5 in the red zone. I guess
4 or 5
It
missing.
came down to. But I mean, Jones, they did run some variety, don't you think, Sarah? They didn't have Jones in first, second, third, or fourth down to start the game in the red zone, but then they had him to end the game. What's wrong with this team?
Well, Plashke mentioned the 1 for 20 specifically between Ryan and Jones, but they've only converted 6 of 21 times in the last 5 games when they get to the red zone. This was a massive problem last year, and they haven't seemed to fix it. So while we can concentrate on Matt Ryan overthrowing, which is certainly part of it, and we can concentrate on, for whatever reason, the superstar Jones and Ryan not converting in the red zone, I think you have to look at Sarkisian and wonder if the same issues that plagued them last year on the offense haven't been dealt with properly in the offseason. Again, it's just one game. We'll wait and see. But you're watching and you're seeing great use of the offense in the open play zone, and as soon as you get to the red zone, everything falls apart.
Kalisha.
The Sarkisian part is big. We got to remember there was just the 1 year with Shanahan where they averaged 33 points and they went nuts and everything came together and they should have won the Super Bowl and didn't. The rest of the time they're playing kind of like the Falcons have played when they've been good but not great. There's no explanation for the Julio Jones stuff. Why Matt Ryan can't throw him a catchable ball around the goal line in the end zone is beyond me. I will say he had Fletcher Cox and some of the Eagles front in his face a lot last night, but that was still terrible play.
Any of it that Ryan and Jones and Freeman didn't play it down in the preseason, Plashke? Is that any impact last night?
I got no problem. No, I got no problem with that. I'm glad they're all healthy. Glad they're all playing. The NFL doesn't need preseason.
Mm-hmm. Blackstone?
Yeah, you don't need preseason. That's not the answer to the situation. It just puts people at more risk.
Kalisha?
You got to play some. That's why we get these games. They look terrible. They haven't played. They haven't tackled.
They haven't played in college, Tim.
I don't think you don't need preseason. I think you need some preseason, and we're going to find out real quick which teams use the preseason right.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama looked good without having a preseason game in college. What's the difference?
That's great if we're talking about
Alabama's
college.
playing Louisville.
I don't think that's getting you points, Plashke. We've been Horn. We're going to take a break. On the way out, give the people something to pick against. Your Super Bowl picks. Plashke.
L.A. story. Chargers against Rams in the Super Bowl.
Kalisha.
Plasky stole it. I have the Chargers over the Rams.
Oh, it's my town.
Chargers, the Rams. Spade.
Tough to pick against the Patriots, and I think Drew Brees has one more in him. Patriots Saints.
Brady versus Goff.
All right, we're out of here. We'll see you in buy or sell. 2 for Chargers, Rams. I mean, that's it for me. There's no shot of that happening. No shot.
It sounded better when I said it.
What's happening?
It sounded better when he wrote it in the newspaper.
I'm a squeaky toy, and I've got one job, getting chomped on by this little ankle sniffer. So pardon me for feeling inept compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like while I'm getting slobbered on, Geico is creating cool technology like their mobile app, which lets people pay their bills or file a claim. Plus, Geico is the fastest growing auto insurer for the last 10 years. Is it too much for me to ask for one more feature? Fast and friendly claim service like Geico, maybe? Oh, great. I'm getting buried again.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Buy or sell.
Week 1 expectations. Guys coming back from injuries. Let's start there. Andrew Luck versus his shoulder versus the Bengals. Deshaun Watson versus his knee versus the Patriots. Bill Plashke, what you expect and need to see from Luck, what you expect and need to see from Watson.
I'll start with Watson. I think I'd love to see a touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins. Watson led the league in touchdown passes when he was hurt last year. Hopkins led the league in touchdown receptions at the end of the year. That's a great combination. And Luck, they just have to win. They won 39% of their games when Luck is not the quarterback, 62% when Luck is. Luck's just got to show me that he can win.
Tim Kalisha.
Andrew Luck, I want to see the ball go 45 yards in the air. It seemed like all the throws he was making in the preseason whenever we saw him were short ones. Watson, I want to see him win. They had the Patriots beat last year. They let him off the hook, and J.J. Watt has never beaten a New England team. I think it's time, even if the game's in Foxborough.
J.J. Watt also making a return. How about you, Sarah Spain?
Watson, I expect to be at the great level that we saw him in those first 6 games last year. What I want to see is a few fewer interceptions because that was a problem early on last year, as great as he was with the touchdowns. As for Andrew Luck, I expect to see a lot of rust, and I want to see consistency in the pocket where he doesn't look afraid. It's one thing in the preseason to say, I'm glad I got hit. It's another thing to keep getting hit as your O-line hasn't gotten much better in the regular season.
Kevin Blackstone.
Well, I'd like to see both quarterbacks be able to lead their teams to victories. With Luck, I'd like to see the arm strength that obviously he hasn't had been able to show with that arm injury, with the shoulder injury. And with Watson, you want to see the accuracy again and the confidence. And what you don't want to see is any slippage that will make people talk about a sophomore slump.
Of course. I'm glad you guys want to see these guys win. That was real insight that I was looking forward to hearing from all of you. New faces, new places. Let's go. Kirk Cousins era of Minnesota gets underway versus San Francisco and Garoppolo. Alex Smith for Washington versus Sam Bradford in Arizona. Case Keenum, Denver versus the Seahawks, and Pat Mahomes, who was on the team last year, of course, but now the starter for KC versus the team guaranteed to not make the Super Bowl because of Tim and Bill, the Chargers. One thing you're sure you'll see this week from the debuts, and one thing that'll make you stand up and notice, Tim.
Sure to see Jimmy Garoppolo struggle, and that's not all on Jimmy G. That's a team without a running game, and they're going to Minnesota. That's going to be a rough starting debut, season starting debut for him. Thing that will make me sit up and take notice is Pat Mahomes making that throw against the San Diego against the Los Angeles.
Come on.
And you got to get him to that Super Bowl.
Yeah, take it. Yes.
I'm mute. Sarah Spade.
Funny, I'm actually going the exact opposite of Tim. Things that I think that we can expect are sure to happen are Mahomes is going to be given free reign to let loose on some real deep throws. I think we can expect that that's going to happen. Things that would make me stand up and notice is if Jimmy G, who has not lost a single game he started, can win a game against a vaunted Minnesota defense despite some of the struggles they might have on that offense. So that would make me stand up and say this is for real.
Kevin Blackstone?
Well, what would make me stand up and say whoa would be if Case Keenum fits in with the Broncos and is able to rejuvenate that offense out there and give them the quarterback that they haven't had. And the thing that I think we'll see is we'll see Pat Mahomes be very productive for that team. I think Andy Reid really wanted him out there from what we heard in past years. He played really well in practice. People really liked him, just never got the shot.
Flash.
Why does everybody forget about Kirk Cousins? Everybody ignores him. He's now in Minnesota, sixth starting quarterback in 6. I expect to see Cousins dominate. I expect to see him free from all the Redskin haters and be out there and be the kind of great quarterback he has been. And I also expect to see Mahomes really struggle against the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah,
struggle
you know
really
the team,
mightily.
at least, that is that you're picking to the Super Bowl. I love that you think Cousins is ignored. He was the highest paid quarterback in
By us.
history.
By us.
For a little
Nobody
while,
mentioned him.
much like everybody else. Okay. Last thing, Khalil Mack also making a debut. Sarah Spain, you want to over under the hurries, the sacks?
Why'd you give that
I
to
just
her?
want him to introduce himself to Aaron Rodgers and say, well, I'll be seeing a lot more of you now.
Buy or sell 3, Naomi Osaka wanting Serena Williams.
This is going to sound really bad, but I was just thinking I really want to play Serena.
Why?
What do you
She's
hear there, Sarah
Serena.
Spain?
I hear someone who grew up idolizing Serena, a Japanese player who grew up in the U.S. watching Serena and is going to face her idol. I also loved when they asked her, what do you have as a message for Serena? You'd expect to be something like, I'm coming for you. Instead, she said, I love you. I love it. It's going to be a great match.
Not just her idol, but this is one woman of color looking at another woman of color who's probably been on her wall all these years, growing up in Florida. Her father is Haitian, her mother is Japanese. This can't get any bigger for her. You could hear it in her voice.
Bill Plaschke.
I'm hearing the same thing you hear young golfers say when they get to play with Tiger Woods. It's respect. It's inspirational. DeChambeau said that a couple weeks ago at the Dell tournament, talking about playing with Woods. It's very cool.
Calcia.
I'm hearing a woman with a great power game wanting to play the ultimate power tennis player, male or female, on the biggest stage. And she's obviously excited to be doing it.
You know, you said it can't get any bigger for Osaka, Blackstone. It might not get any bigger for Serena Williams. The way she's been talking about coming back from nearly dying after childbirth. I mean, that's how serious it was and how she explained it last night. What would a win mean for Serena, KB?
Oh, it'd be everything. I mean, but as you hear her talk last night, she's really talking about things that aren't about tennis, right? She's talking about real life circumstances. I don't know if you saw the video that went out of her nursing her child. That was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, it just grabs your heart.
Yeah, add another major, and not just another major, but the first one after the pregnancy, after the scares that followed that pregnancy. And one of the best things for anyone who's a tennis fan was hearing Serena tell the fans, this is just the beginning, as in, I've got a whole lot more to accomplish. We love to hear that.
Well, she's going to want to accomplish it for her daughter as she watches it, as she gets older. You make a pick here, Kalisha. You've been covering this tournament earlier this week, so...
I thought Serena might struggle in the finals in Wimbledon. She will not struggle. This will be a two-set victory for her. Number 24.
We'll let that be the last word. At least Kalisha is going to land on his feet after his Super Bowl pick came from a different city that they play in right now. It's a real tough loss for Kalisha. Blackstone taking a bolt right here as well. Blaschke Spade, showdown next. Showdown rookies. Sam Darnold versus the Lions. That'll be Monday night. Saquon Barkley versus the Jaguars. And that defense Sunday. Josh Rosen, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, and their view from the bench. A first impression you can impress upon us, Bill Plaschke?
I think Barkley's going to gain over 100 yards. Look at Kareem Hunt last year as a rookie, 148 yards in his debut. Leonard Fournette, 100 yards. Running backs are almost as good as they're going to be their first game. So I think we'll see a lot from Barkley.
Yeah, I agree. Barkley is absolutely not going to be stopped purely just because they don't want the rookie to show him up. Try to stop him and see what happens. Now, of course, Jaguars D are going to make it tough, but I agree. Barkley's going to show us from game one what he's got.
You agree. Very interesting strategy from Spain there, not the veteran maneuver. Plashke's getting the point then. If you agree, I'll give it to the guy who said it first. Showdown 2, Houston Rockets, beach photos. Hoodie Mello made it out to the beach. And James Harden was wearing socks. So the question is, what's the bigger faux pas on the beach, Sarah? Hoodie or socks?
The hoodie's fine with me. It's just dedication to a brand. If you're Hoodie Mello, then you're Hoodie Mello everywhere you go, and that includes the beach. James Harden's just pulling some sort of Bill Plaschke type, I wear socks to the beach because I don't care anymore if people think I'm cool kind of move, and I don't think there's any way to defend that.
I'm going to defend it because that's pretty much me. There is no faux pas there at all, Tony. I go to the beach in a hoodie and I go to the beach in socks. I saw it and I thought, oh, that's me on a Saturday afternoon. I was surprised this is even a question. You got to wear the hoodie to cover your face from the sun. You got to wear the socks to keep your feet cool in the hot sand.
You don't deserve
Common
LA.
sense.
Got to wear the socks to keep your feet cool from the hot sand. So sandals is just out, flip-flops just doesn't apply. Does the sock provide some added benefit that I'm not really considering here? I don't even know how to make a ruling here. The score's 1-0. I'm not going to touch this one. This is too hot topic for me. Go ahead, Bill Plaschke. Take the FaceTime.
I want to give kudos to Jeannie Buss, the owner of the Lakers, last Thursday in a comedy club in North Hollywood. She did stand-up comedy. It was on her bucket list. She took a class. She went in front of an audience that was not really aware that she was doing it. And she did stand-up comedy, and you can see a clip on the YouTuber, and it's awesome. The fact that she will take those chances. She's the owner every town should want to have. She's accessible. She talks to the fans. She interacts with the fans. She's a regular person. Jeannie Buss, kudos to you.
Anybody ever do stand-up before?
I might give it a try.
No. That was a rhetorical. You never did stand-up. We've seen your material for the last 15 years, College Stuff. We'll see you Monday.